Hi everyone and welcome back to the Carbon Cater's cooking channel. Today we have honey roasted peanut chicken. We have our ingredients laid out here like we always do, and if you guys want you can go to carboncaters.com and see the full recipe with a list of ingredients. First thing we're going to do is we're going to make a small little spice blend with all of our ingredients. We have some cayenne, garlic, onions. You know where the list is. It's not somewhere in the ingredient list. But we want to mix that up and we're going to separate it into 3 parts so that we can evenly season our chicken, our breadcrumbs, and our flour. So once we've done that, we're going to take our chicken breast. This is already thinly sliced that I have from another meal prep item that I do. I'm just going to cut these up down into smaller strips just to make it easier, and that's the best way to eat them. We don't want no big chicken paillards fried up and all that stuff. That's for a different recipe, different application. So we're just cutting these into strips and we're going to season them right after. Now, a lot of people are weirded out by touching their proteins when they are preparing them, but guys, in all honesty, you guys should be touching them with your bare hands so that you know what your product should feel like and what it shouldn't feel like. If you always have gloves on and all that stuff, you're missing out on actually getting to be familiar with your proteins and what they should feel like, the textures. Obviously, keep in mind, always wash your hands afterwards before you start another application. So we're going to start off over here. We're going to crush our honey roasted peanuts. We're just going to buzz these up in our food processor. If you guys don't have one, just stick it in a Ziploc bag and crush it with the bottom of a pan or a pot. Some larger chunks are okay if you want to see the pieces of the peanut. If you don't want to see any pieces of the peanut, then buzz it up even further. I'm going to leave some large chunks for my application. Alright, and once we have that down to the size that we'd like, we're going to throw that in a sheet pan or in a large bowl, whatever you got going on, and we're going to toss that with our breadcrumbs. I'm using unseasoned panko because I'm seasoning my own. Also, I like the bigger pieces that panko provides as opposed to the regular smaller breadcrumbs. Now, whenever I'm breading anything, whenever I'm breading something, I like to take some of it away just because once you begin the whole breading process, some of the egg yolk, milk mixture may start to clump inside your mix and also makes it harder for your coating to stick to your next piece. So it's always good to have a dry, fresh, clean batch available. Alright, so we seasoned our flour. Now we're seasoning our egg and milk mixture. Now, as you saw, I said 3 bowls earlier. One of those bowls split into 2, so technically 4, but we're not counting that stuff. Just make sure that everything is seasoned throughout. That way you get good, consistent flavor throughout. Now, basically, we have set ourselves up for the standard breading procedure, which would go from protein to flour to egg mix to your breadcrumbs. I do not want to dirty another dish, so here I am just pouring the flour straight onto our chicken. Feel free to do that. Less dishes means less work. Alright, so we go straight from the flour to the eggs to the bread and peanut mixture. Now over here I'm just laying them out flat, and then I'm going to toss it with the breadcrumbs right over there just so I can control how much this gets wet. You guys can do the brown paper bag method, which is you put your breadcrumbs inside a paper bag, throw your chicken strips that have been already dipped in the flour and egg mix, and just shake it up. It's less messy, but here we are giving you guys a visual of how we like to get these coated. And as I mentioned earlier, as you can see, this is all clumped up. Think kitty litter, right? We like to talk about kitty litter when we do food. But just think exactly like that. It does begin to clump, so it's always good to have nice, dry breading available without having to re-season and do all the extra work all over again. So that's why we separated some earlier. And then we're just going to continue breading the whole breading process. Alright, once completely coated, we can begin frying. I have this set up to 375, almost 400. I had to lower it because it took a little longer to come fry this up. But make sure that you guys have your tray for your landing, making sure that you have a wire rack, or if not, some paper towels, to be able to capture all that grease afterwards. Now you guys can pan fry these if you feel more comfortable that way. You don't want to use as much oil. All I will recommend if you do the pan frying method is to switch out your oil consistently, because since this is a peanut, a honey roasted peanut, it does have some sugar, so your oil will turn color, as well as the breadcrumbs as well. Those that fall off, those bits and pieces begin to burn, which will cause your oil to be darker and have your next batch, depending on how many batches you get, to be darker in color. Now I'm going to begin plating, but if you notice on the right hand side on the corner, those pieces are much darker. It's because I purposely left the oil in the pot so you guys can see the color changes. Now for plating, just throw them on a dish. Everybody family style gets to eat it. I'm serving this with 2 sauces. I'm doing a hot honey and a toasted sesame. The toasted sesame is a dressing that I have for a salad here. Just toss that up. The hot honey I did with sriracha, chili flakes, and honey and lime. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. You guys can find this recipe and more on carvencaters.com.